Hello, I'm doing a book review, and the book I want to review is Northern Gothic by Nick Mamatas. I hope I'm saying his last name right. Now, this book was published in 2001, and this was actually Nick Mamatas' first novel. Now, he would actually go on to write a couple of books, and actually quite a few of his books are kind of set in H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos. Like, he's written a lot of Lovecraftian novels. Now, so far, this is the only book I have read from him, but one book of his that is really catching my eye is a book called Move Underground, which is kind of a Cthulhu Lovecraftian kind of story, only all the main characters of the book are famous authors like William S. Burroughs and Jack Kerouac, so that's a book by him that is really catching my eye that I might try to read someday. Now, the plot of Northern Gothic is, it's told in a very non-linear style. It's basically two stories in one, but the two stories are set in two completely different time periods, and throughout the course of the novel, they start to merge together. Now, the whole novel takes place in New York City, but it takes place in two different time periods. As I said, the first story in the book takes place in 1863, and then the other story takes place in the late 1990s. Now, the parts of this novel that take place in 1863, these follow a young Irish immigrant named William Patton, who basically he's about to be drafted into the Civil War. This, of course, was at the time of the Civil War, and what happens is he's trying to avoid this draft, and he ends up getting caught up in the New York City draft riots that happened around this time. So, throughout the course of the story, Will Patton and his brother end up going on basically this little killing spree during the draft riots, and they're primarily killing black people. Now, the parts of this book that take place in the late 1990s follow a young gay black man named Amani Jenkins. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right. Now, this young man, he's from South Carolina, and he's trying to see if he can make it in New York City, and he's living in the same area that William Patton was living all those years ago, and let's just say that the ghosts of the past literally start haunting Jenkins. And basically, throughout the novel, the past and the present start merging together to a point where they almost become interchangeable. Now, Northern Gothic, I thought was a pretty good book, and if you haven't read this already, I would definitely recommend it, and the book is pretty short too. It's actually more of a novella. It's 86 pages long, so depending on how fast of a reader you are, you could probably read this in one sitting, and I think it's definitely worth the read. Now, I feel like prejudice is a major theme within this novel. Like, in the parts of this book that take place during the time of the Civil War, like during the draft riots, you realize that a lot of the people starting these riots blame black people for the Civil War, and also the main villain of the novel, William Patton, he's primarily killing black people, so I feel like prejudice is definitely a theme within this novel. But also, since William is an Irish immigrant, you get a real sense of a lot of the prejudices that Irish immigrants had to face during that time period. And you also get a real sense that the reason William is the way he is really because of society. Like, you get the idea that society made him the way he is in this story. but also in the parts of this book that take place in the late 1990s, where it follows the character of Amadi Jenkins, who is a gay man. You kind of get a sense of a lot of the prejudices that gay people have to face in today's day and age. Another theme in this novel is the idea that the past is always present, that no matter what we do, we cannot escape the past. So yeah, Northern Gothic is a decent little ghost story, and I would definitely recommend it if you haven't read this already. So yeah, that was my review on Northern Gothic by Nick Mamatas, and bye.